Arts. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Jordana. I'm really excited to be here today. Um, I haven't been to Ryerson for a very long time, so I'm really excited to be here. My name is Kashfia. I graduated from New Media, actually, and I just learned a couple of days ago that New Media is no longer a part of Image Arts. So I feel like a little bit of an imposter right now, but I hope you'll still welcome me. So what I do, I'm a design researcher, and what that means is that I work in really complex social systems sometimes, but also digital systems, and I really think a lot about how people live their lives and experience their lives. So recently, I actually had my master's in, or received my master's in strategic force and innovation. And it taught me a lot about human-centered design. It taught me a lot about systems thinking. It taught me a lot about how to think about the future in different ways. And now I'm here talking to you. So I'll get right into it. Usually, at least for our grandparents and our grandparents or our great grandparents generation, we would be expecting what would be like a 3-stage model: education, work, and then retirement. But for me, that was definitely not the case. It was a little bit of a roller coaster, and I think that's actually the reality for most people. And researchers have actually looked at this recently, and this is the new reality. We all live multi-stage lives. What used to be, you start from education and then can expect to like work for 30, 40, 50, 60 years and then go into retirement. That's no longer the case. So this was, I believe, by Linda Grattan. And she's looking at what the future looks like, what the current situation looks like for many of us. And so this is actually really true to what I've gone through as well. I got out of Ryerson and then kind of fell into a world that looked very, very different from when I first started my undergrad. Currently, this is the kind of work that I do. So I look at something like, like the ecological model of diversity, inclusion, and belonging in the gaming sector. Which means I went into a gaming studio recently and I looked at, what does it mean to be a woman, a person of color, a trans person in a big gaming studio. It was a very difficult project, but it was a very, very rewarding project. A second project that I worked on recently was looking at low-income households and what the environmental impact what the environmental impact of their habits and behaviors were. So I went to a couple of different cities and talked to people who had changed their behaviors around energy and waste and like food. And I then like mapped a lot of what the different people who had interacted with them, the different organizations that had interacted with them, and how that had actually influenced the decisions. So this is very, very different from what I first went into New Media to do, actually, went into Image Arts doing. And that was actually because of a couple of different factors. So instead of kind of going through a chronological, list of everything that I've done so far, I thought I would kind of talk about more how I got to this point. How did I go from being in New Media, which was a very, very different world where, I did like robotics and film and graphic design and website building. And now I'm like talking to people about their waste collection. Like it's been a little bit of a strange journey, but one that has been very rewarding to me. So the first thing that I want to talk about was, all experiences count. I actually graduated during the last big financial crisis. So no one had jobs. My cohort and I, we graduated and we just didn't actually know what to expect from the job market. And I quickly realized that my part-time, well, actually in high school, I had been lucky enough to learn web design, and then I had been working part-time for a friend doing web development, and that got me an internship with Doctors Without Borders doing web development assistance. And then I got my first contract after that internship, and that was that all kind of came together in a really helpful and lucky way. But I just want to emphasize that everything that you do in undergrad, it really does build upon each other. So I'm not saying, you have to be super strategic about every decision you make, about all the different jobs you have, internships you have, but it does make a difference. It does count cumulatively towards something that you're going to be able to do after you graduate. And I was lucky enough to get a contract from my internship, like I said, and then get my first job out of school that wasn't a contract at Rogers in their online operations department. Secondly, find your people. So this is super important. And I know everyone says network, 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 but honestly, it's not really about networking. It's about finding the connections that mean something to you, finding the people that will support you, finding and building a community, actually, if you can't find those people. So one of the things that I did when I left Ryerson was actually co-found a artist studio and art co-op, because art studios were super expensive in the city and I couldn't practice. So I managed to find a group of people who were willing to create an environment and invest in an actual physical location for us to all be able to work. So that was, a way of building your community, finding your people. And, along the way, I got a lot of help from mentors. I was able to make genuine connections with people who wanted to help me. They told me about jobs. They told me what to work on in terms of my craft and in terms of my knowledge, and different opportunities. Actually, I owe so much to just being able to find people who believed in me, and I cannot emphasize enough the power and role of a mentor in my life and hopefully in your lives. The third thing is always be ready. And it sounds funny to say this. It's what is it? It's the cliche is always be selling, right? But always be ready. I am always working on my portfolio. I'm always working on my CV, and I'm always talking to people about how they're crafting themselves and how they're kind of approaching different job opportunities, different job markets. So, if I see something, if I see an RFP that's going to be due in a couple of days, like a request for proposal for a project, I have all my materials ready. And I've been able to do some pretty crazy things by just being ready. So, after I left Rogers, I took a job in Brazil for 6 months, and that was within 2 weeks. I interviewed, got all of my vaccinations, and got on a plane all within 2 weeks. And it was one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life. I didn't know the language. I didn't have any friends. It was kind of a crazy time of my life, but it also made me realize just how strong I am and just what my skills are, because I was able to do design work in another country with a completely new team, completely new context. And then try on someone else's life. I had no idea what I was going to do in high school. I had no idea what I was going to do after Ryerson. But one of the things that really helped me is I looked at people that I really admired. I looked at companies that really got my attention. And I found people and I thought, okay, this is an incredible designer. How did she or they get to where they are? What were the steps that they took? They got X, Y, and Z skills from this program, or just by doing this kind of work. And I kind of did that. I kind of like just tried on other people's lives, like bits of other people's lives, you know. There was someone that was doing really interesting work as a product manager, and I thought, oh, you know, that's something that I think I really want to do for you know, the foreseeable future. So I realized that they were teaching at BrainStation, and I took a product management class at BrainStation, and you know, that taught me that, you know, maybe I don't actually want to be a product manager. You know, I don't really want to spend all my time thinking about pricing strategies. But what I really wanted to do was just talk to people about what their actual problems were. What are they actually trying to solve? And I wanted to think about, you know, getting to the heart of what a product is supposed to do. Um, so, you know, if there are things that you're interested in, and if you think there's a career path or a future that you really want to invest in, before you know, you decide that you're going to spend like $40,000, $50,000, you know, go see if you can get an internship or like job shadow them or take like a small course, you know, and see what it might actually be like. And also, I found that people were really, really happy to speak to me about my experiences, you know, or and their experiences. So like what I wanted to do and what led them to where they are now. So don't be afraid to just ask someone like, hey, I saw that you did this and you ended up here. How much did that actually help you? So, you know, especially now in this stage of your lives, people are actually really open to saying, oh yeah, like you want to talk to me? I'm really flattered. Oh, like I would love to talk to you. Um, and the next thing is, you know, find out what makes you different. This is probably the number one thing that helped me realize what I wanted to do at this stage in my career. You know, for example, I'm a really visual person, um, and I have really good instincts about people. That kind of sounds like it wouldn't take you very far, but you know, you combine those two things, and what that means is that I have an ability to take really complicated concepts, really difficult concepts, and break them down into things that are visual and helps people understand it better. And at the same time, I can take that, show that to someone who may not necessarily trust me right away, but I am, my instincts help me to form a trusting bond early enough in that early enough in that conversation that someone will open up to me and actually give me their honest opinion. So these are skills that are soft skills, but I use them day in, day out in my work. You know, I think that is something that when I speak to clients and employers, they sense that in me, and I can actually prove that through my work, and I can like sell the services that I offer just based on those like couple of strengths. You know, find out what makes you different because you are a unique individual. There are going to be thousands and thousands of people who are probably wanting to do the same thing as you, but find out what it is that makes you that gives you that slight edge, that makes you do something that you can do better than, you know, someone else. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to learn how to code, you know, like an app overnight. You know, a lot of the times it really is about how well you can present yourself and present the skills that you already have and what makes you really good at what you already do. And lastly, be independent, but be smart. And I say that because I became an independent consultant in the last couple of years, and it was really hard. It was not something that I ever thought that I wanted to do, but I wanted to do my master's part-time, and I had to put food on the table. You know, I had to pay rent. So I knew that this is the only like option for me. So I quickly realized just how important it was to have solid business skills. No matter what field you're in, whether you're in photography, in film, in new media, you know, it doesn't matter what you're doing, but if at any point you think you want to, you know, work for yourself, take a gig, freelance, whatever it might be, there are some skills that are going to be invaluable. Like some of the things that I do every day, I didn't envision for myself in the future. Like, I write all the time. I'm writing proposals, I'm writing pitches, I'm writing presentations. I used to be terrified of presentations. I used to be terrified of speaking in public, meeting strangers. Like, that was not the person that, I grew up as. I am a hard introvert, like, after this presentation is over, I'm probably going to go lie down for half an hour. But I cannot tell you, how important it is to just be able to, like, get up in front of people and say, this is the work that I do, and I believe in it, and I believe in myself. you know um, like I said before, like, strategy, you have to be strategic about, saying, these are the skills I have, and this is how this is going to drive value for you and your company. you know um, I had to learn how to like, make spreadsheets and keep track of, like, budgets. Like, these are really, really boring things, but they're invaluable to me. It's something that I do all the time. So you might not necessarily think that you have to be an accountant, but just, like, some of those really, like, basic skills about how to stay accountable to yourself and stay accountable to your clients is really going to help you, because you, as an individual contributor to the film industry or the photography company, or as an individual photographer, you're going to have to still pitch your services. You're still going to have to say, this is how much things are going to cost, this is the breakdown of something, and this is why it's worth it. Social media, like, I am not the best social media person, because I find that I'm a lot better, like, face to face with people. But unfortunately, that's the world that we live in. That's the world that you guys have grown up in. And just putting your work out there in a way that's professional is really, really important. And that's actually all of, like, my advice for today.